Modus Menaces, we are back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be giving you not one, not two, not five, but 7 ways to level up spiritually. Now, as you can see right here, I have a whole list of things we could go over, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first way you can level up spiritually is by changing your lifestyle. You see, how do you expect to shape and reshape into a new version of yourself if you keep doing things of the past, if you keep repeating the same thing over and over and expect different results, right? That's just a delusion. That's something crazy. Like, how do you expect to spiritually grow? How do you expect to become a better person and be reborn through Christ if you're doing the same things as your old self? That's why it says in the Bible, Ephesians 4:22, to put your past self to death. Because if you don't put your past self to death, if you don't put away your old ways and continue, if you're going to continue to be living this old lifestyle, this stinky lifestyle of instant gratification and living for the world, hey, I got this, that's another point. But if you're going to continue to live for the world and not for Christ, obviously you're going to be indulged by the world, and you're not going to be indulging, you're not going to be living for Christ. You're not going to receive the blessings of Christ if you're going to continue by your past ways. So a good thing to do, like for example, like if you want to read the Bible more, right? But you struggle to read the Bible. Well, now instead of like putting your Bible away in a bookshelf, put it right next to you. Put it before you go to bed. Put it next to your nightstand, or put it on your desk, right? That way it's actually easier to actually start reading the word. Because say for example, like you want to eat healthier, right? But you always like find yourself eating unhealthy junk food. That's because the unhealthy junk food, you make it easier to grab onto, right? You make it easier to grab and snack onto, because most of the time you'll have the junk food on your desk and the actual healthy food in the kitchen. So instead of having the healthy food in the kitchen and the junk food in your room, swap them out. So that way it can be easier to actually eat healthier, to actually live a healthier lifestyle. All right, so next up on this list is staying in the word, being consistent in the word. You see, most of the time, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I don't feel God's presence in my life. I don't feel him in my life. Like, I don't feel like I'm saved. Well, how many times are you in the word? How many times are you feeding your soul? Because right now what you're doing, you're like you say you don't feel God's presence. You say you have all these like negative thoughts, but that's because you're not in the word. And the reason why you're feeling all these things is because your spirit is weak. Your spiritual strength is weak. Obviously, like when you go to the gym, right? The more you go to the gym, the more stronger you're gonna get. And you see, like when you don't work out your muscle, the weaker it's gonna be, right? Because you're not actually utilizing it. You're not actually putting it to work. You're not actually like taking action with your muscles, right? So if you're not gonna be taking action, which is another thing I have right here, if you're not gonna be actually spiritually discerned, like in the word, like constantly, and not like actually feeding your soul, because the word of God is the protein for the soul, right? Because when you work out, you work out, but you need that protein in order to rebuild your muscle back stronger, right? So when you're in the word, when you're actually reading the word, the more you read the word, the more you're gonna provide that protein for your spirit to actually bounce back stronger. But if you're gonna be like distant from the word, you'll maybe read the word here and there, maybe like 5 minutes before you go to bed, or a lot of people say they have this excuse, yeah, I go to church every Sunday, so I'm saved by God. But your works is not going to define you, but through your faith and by the grace of God, you will be saved. So do not define yourself by your works, but through your faith. And in order to test your faith, you got to really like be in this word. You really got to be in the word, because if your faith was truly strong enough, you would be doing everything you can to get closer to God. That's why it says right here in the Bible, Matthew 24:13, he who endures till the end shall be saved. Basically meaning like, as long as you keep persevering, as long as you keep enduring, no matter what, you're gonna be saved, my boy. But if you like constantly give up, you give into sin, you tell yourself, oh well, I'm not saved, like why should I be saved? Why should I believe that I'm saved? Well, like I could just continue like indulging in my sin. Yeah, I'm saved, right? Some people have this mental state, oh yeah, once saved, always saved. I went to church one time for my whole life, and now I'm saved for life. But that's not the case, my boy. He who endures till the end shall be saved. So if you're not enduring, if you're not like constantly trying to like bounce back, like, you get attacked by these temptations, by the enemy. You get attacked by all these things of this world. And, you sometimes may fall, but a righteous man falls 7 times and he still gets back up. So you don't, like a winner, basically, like this is another quote I like to say, and a winner is just a loser who never gave up. So you're going to be constantly winning. You're always winning with God if you constantly keep bouncing back. because that's what it means to have like the Holy Spirit within you. Like, yeah, like we're all not perfect, right? We've all fallen short to the glory of God. So we're all gonna fall at times, right? I mean, we're living in the flesh. That's just how our flesh works, right? Eventually, sometimes we're gonna give into that desire. You know, we look at that temptation. Oh, we might get into it, right? But what matters is that you bounce back and keep moving forward, like the legend himself, Aaron Uzumaki. Now, this is a big one that I just recently learned, and that is to soften your heart. You see, so many people's hearts are like hardened by this world because they see these man-made practices, these man-made religions, like churning them, like they think that, oh, these practices, if they don't do these practices, if they don't pray 10 times a day, if they don't eat like this certain food every single day, that they're not going to be saved. But my boy, this is literally just straight up goofy religional GMO practices. Like, I don't know why, like, it's for so long, you know, I'm not gonna like disrespect any religions, but you know, I used to go to like a private school and they had me they forced me to pray 5 times a day. And so I didn't even know who I was praying to, right? But this was a man-made religion, and they all believed in it, right? Like they all believed that this is gonna save them, right? But like, I didn't really get it, because I was like, who am I praying to? Like, what am I actually praying to, right? So this like man-made religion, like so many people believe in these man-made practices, and it hardens their heart because they're like, oh, you don't do this, you are not saved, you are going to hell. But these are man-made religions, right? Like, these are man-made practices. And so if you're going to be following these man-made GMO religions, your heart is going to be hardened, not just by following like religions, but also like following other things of this world, right? Like, many people maybe like you grew up with like a certain like religion or lifestyle with your parents or like growing up, right? But then you suddenly realize that it was wrong, because what they were doing, they were actually being led by something not of the word of God. So you got to really like test your faith. You got to really like stir up your spirit to really like test, like, is this right or wrong? And ask God to soften your heart. Because for the longest time, my heart was hardened. Like, low-key, I didn't even feel like I deserved love, right? Because I was like, man, I'm such a sinner. You know, I sin so many times, like, I don't deserve any love. But that's the wrong mindset. Because we all deserve to be loved. God is love. So you got to really soften your heart, because my heart was numb to all my emotions. Like, I couldn't even cry because I was just like, my emotions were so numb. It was so suppressed. I couldn't even, I didn't even know how to cry, you know? Like, that's kind of crazy if you ask me. So like, recently I felt like my heart just starting to soften up, and I've been having like a lot more gratitude, a lot more just like thankfulness towards things, because I'm like, dang, like, we only live once, right? I mean, this world is temporary, but our souls live eternally. But like, you got to be more appreciative, right? Like, that's where it is. Like, this is where this humbleness, hey, I'm gonna talk about that as well. This is where that humbleness kicks in, because when you are humble before the Lord, this is where you're gonna receive those blessings. And the next one's a big one, and that is taking action towards your prayer. Guys, you don't like, for the longest time, I used to pray every single day. I used to just be in my bed telling God, oh, I want to receive these things. I want to receive all these blessings, man. Like it says, ask and you shall receive, right? So I'm asking. But there's another important part that you're forgetting, and that is actually taking action towards those prayers. Because faith without works is dead, right? So you could say all you want, you believe in Jesus, but there's a difference between believing in him and actually following him, because the demons even believe and they tremble. But you gotta really like live this lifestyle, right? You can't just be praying to God about certain things and just magically, like, God is not a genie, right? Jesus is not a genie. He's not just gonna give you anything you want just like that. No, my boy, you gotta actually work towards it. You gotta actually take action towards your faith. And this is where you're gonna make that faith, because it says you reap what you sow, right? So obviously, a lot of people, they sow into the flesh and they reap of the flesh, and the flesh reaps corruption. It literally, like, you get corruption out of it. You get destruction out of it, right? I mean, we all sow into our flesh for so long, giving it to our fleshly desires, and you see what happens, right? But he who sows off the Spirit will reap everlasting life. So don't just say things and just not work towards it, right? Like, what good is it, like, if you have a vision and you don't work towards that vision? It's good as nothing, right? Like, you say you have a dream, right? But don't let that dream be a dream. Make it into reality. Like, the dream, that's halfway there, right? But it's not, you know, like, with our relationship with Christ, you can't just be halfway there, right? You're either all in or nothing. You're either a lukewarm, like you can't even be, I don't even know what lukewarm even means. At that point, you're just telling yourself, I don't even care. Like at that point, you're just saying, you know, like, yeah, I believe in him and I'll pray here and there, but I don't actually follow him. So you got to actually follow him. You got to actually go through with your prayers. You got to actually work and take action towards those prayers so that they could be manifested. Now, the next thing up on this list is let go of your pride/ego. I'm not talking about the rainbows. I'm talking about your pride and that ego that you have. Because for so long, I used to even say to my sibling, I was like, yeah, I'm better than you. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Like, I literally said, yo, I'm better than you. I'm better than you in every single way. But that was just my ego holding me back. Like, especially when I was playing video games, also, I had this ego that I was the best player in the world because I put thousands of hours into that game. But my boy, I'm not better than you. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's not better than me because we've all fallen short to the glory of God. We all have sinned, right? So obviously, no one is perfect. The only person that is perfect is Jesus, right? And that's why he died on the cross for us, because we all have fallen short to him. So you gotta really, like, when you are actually on this walk, you gotta let go of that ego, let go of that pride within you, because this is actually holding you back. Because to be actually like in this relationship, to actually be closer towards God, you have to humble yourself, because God is what stands on top, not you, not your worldly desires, but God. God stands above everything, even your girlfriend or boyfriend. Hey, I don't know who's watching this video, but he stands above everything, right? So if he's above everything, you have to humble yourself. You have to humble yourself before him so that he could give you these blessings. Because if you say, I'm more powerful than God, I deserve more than God, then that's just showing that, like, you low-key are putting God down because of your pride, because of your ego. And this is what's holding you back from actually building and establishing that relationship, right? Like, if I'm in a relationship and I tell my friend that I'm better than him, is he gonna still continue being my friend? Like, obviously there could be like a little competitive drive, like, oh, I'm better than you, no, I'm better than you, and maybe you could, like, you guys could compete. But if you are literally just gonna straight up tell your friend that, oh yeah, I'm better than you in every single way possible, like, you should just give up, are they still gonna be your friend? Of course not. So yeah, man, just don't let your pride, don't let your ego, don't let those rainbows hold you back from actually reaching your potential with God, actually building and establishing your relationship with God. So hey, the next thing up on this list is do not let fear hold you back. You see, a lot of people have this fear, this anxiety, but this doesn't come from God, right? This comes from the enemy. This fear that you're getting, like, oh, like the fear of death. A lot of people have the fear of death, and I did as well, right? But why would we fear something that all of us are eventually gonna come across, right? We're all gonna eventually die, right? So why fear it? Why fear something that is inevitable? So literally, like, when you have your faith placed in Christ, you know, like, okay, I'm saved. Like, even after this life that I have, I'm still gonna be with him. And so, like, a lot of people, they have this fear of death, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die. But like, low-key, when you have this fear of death, you basically are telling yourself that you are not secure with Christ. Because to be with Christ, to have a relationship with God, is to have everlasting life. So if you're having this fear of death, or this fear of any other thing, like of this world, like of men, of certain people, then you're not really having, like, you're not really trusting in Jesus. You're not really trusting in God to actually, like, hold your life, right? And so, but the thing is, there's a difference between the fear of these things, like the things of this world of death, and the fear of God. Because it literally says right here in James 2:4, oh no, James 2:4, okay, I forgot the verse right here, but I'm gonna just say the verse. It says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. So because you're fearing the Lord, right? You're fearing him and not the things of this world. And this is where the fear of him will actually bring you wisdom. Because now you know, okay, like, you know that you're a sinner, and you know you're not perfect, and you know that God, you know, if you continue to sin, you're gonna be condemned, right? Like, you're gonna be condemned eventually, you know, judgment day. Hey, if you're not right with him, it's not looking good for you, right? But that's where Jesus comes in to save us from that sin. Hey, bars. Hey, Holy Spirit fire. Hey, yo, I'm going off on this video, but it's true. Like, he came to save us, right? And so if you're not placing your trust in him, you have that fear of the Lord. Like, oh, yo, if I'm not getting right with God, if I don't actually start changing my ways, if I continue to live this goofy instant gratificational lifestyle, this is where you're gonna mess up. So let the fear of the Lord not hold you back, but actually motivate you to keep moving forward. And so the last thing up on this list is live for God and not for this world. So basically meaning that if you continue to live for this world, if you're going to continue to just say, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm living to get that car, I'm going to keep living to see that anime, like that anime episode, right? Then low-key, you're not living for God, right? You're living for the things of this world. Like I remember, bro, when I was actually reborn, when I actually started like to walk on this walk with Christ, bro, I remember I was in Times Square and I was like, dang, like people really live for the things of this world. Like I'm looking at all these like advertisements everywhere, just seeing all these flashy ads pop up, and I'm like, dang, so people really live just to buy these certain products, just to look good for certain other people. And I'm like, damn, bro, like this is crazy. Like a lot of people are literally living for the things of this world. And that's what's actually holding them back. Because they say, oh yeah, I'm gonna work all week so then I could have some drinks. So then I could smoke. So then I could go to that party. That's not living for God. Right? Because even these things, they're not gonna satisfy you. Like that's another thing I'm gonna get to. Like these things that you say, like, oh, it brings you joy and happiness. It's temporary. All these things are temporary. All the things of this world is temporary. So those drinks that you're having, those little puffs from that vape, or that little joint or whatever it is that you're having, that's temporary. And eventually you're gonna want more and more and more. And the addiction is just gonna keep going. But you still feel empty. That's why you keep running back. Like a dog to his vomit. That's another Bible verse. Like a dog to his vomit, he will return back to his vomit. Or like a sinner back to his sin. Right? So we really gotta live a lifestyle with or for God, so that we can actually experience his blessings, so that we can actually experience what it means to truly live for Christ and not of this world. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Hey, and let me know if you guys learned anything new, and let me know what other like type of like videos you want to see, like more of these type of videos, or you know, something else. Hey, let me know. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Stay blessed, stay wealthy, rebuke the kingdom of darkness, and embrace the kingdom of righteousness. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Surpass your limits. Peace.